Hi, Emma. How are you today, my lovely?
I'm very well. How you doing?
Really good, thank you. Really good. Yes.
Good. So it's a happy and a bit of a sad day today.
It is. It's poignant, isn't it? It's poignant. So yes, I and it's been, and this is one of the things we're going to talk about today. It's not been an easy decision, and I've been putting it off for a little while, but I'm going to be stepping away now from the Crossroads Cafe podcast, leaving it in Emma's capable hands. I am on to pastures new in quite a short period of time, and need to put all my energy and focus into making sure that all happens as smoothly as I'm able to. Obviously, I'll trust in the benevolence of the universe at the same time as well. But yes, I need to put my focus and energy in making some other things happen.
Yes, you do. And I think as well, having had the conversation with you about it, it's a little bit sad and I'm going to miss you loads, but we're still going to be catching up. We're going to still have our masterminds because they're so valuable. So we're still going to be catching up. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it's really important, like we said, that you say no to the things that aren't in line or aligned with the desired goal, with where it is you're looking to go, so that you can say yes to the stuff the stuff that you do value, and the stuff that is going to take you to that end goal.
Definitely. So just to kind of, I know we've touched on it a little bit, I won't go into too many details, but one of the gifts from lockdown, it's been a reset for all of us, and it gave me the opportunity to really kind of reflect on what I wanted in my life. And so part of that was looking at tweaking my business. So I'm going to be making a very different offering moving forward. I'm creating what I'm calling the Wisdom Woman Project. It's a little way ahead at the moment, but really helping women in a leadership role to align with themselves. So not only are they successful in business and leading successfully, but they're actually stepping into their power and their authenticity. So they're not necessarily kind of trying to all the time fit into current social norms and old business models, but they're really embracing their own authenticity. And we talk about this a lot, and I think it's really valuable. We do, as women, have quite a few unconscious biases, and one of the bits of the program is going to be looking at that. So it's not for the faint-hearted. It's going to be a program in mastery. So if you're brave enough to face the stuff that you've got in your closet, come on over and we can have a chat about that, because I'm going to be running the initial program in the next couple of months. So yes.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Thank you. And then of course the other massive part, which I've touched on, is I've decided to emigrate, because the majority of my family are in New Zealand, and now that we have global businesses and online, it gives me an opportunity to be with them. And yeah,
very amazing. So that's two massive pivots. We talk about pivots, don't we? We talk about in business, in life in general, and that's why we have Crossroads Cafe. You get to a point where you feel like things just don't feel right. They just don't sit right with you, and you sort of ask yourself that question: is this what I want, or what is it I want, and why do I want it? And I think that's such an important question to ask yourself, because then you sit with that for a period of time. And this is what happens. You come up with these sorts of answers over time, and you're going to be living in the most, one of the most beautiful countries, parts of the world. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to visit.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm so excited about everybody that's going to...
you're going to have people knocking at your door, I can imagine, as soon as the flights are back up and running and there's not all this quarantining and that kind of stuff. I'm sure you're going to have people wanting to fly out all the time.
I hope you all do, and I'm making sure I'm getting a big house so people can come and really be nurtured, and it can be like an oasis of tranquility and rejuvenation, and we can just kind of like do little master. Oh, I'm so excited about it.
It'll be amazing.
Yeah,
it'll be amazing.
And it's so interesting what we are saying, that sometimes saying no, it can be so hard for us as women, can't it?
Mm,
We're, you know, still society conditions us to be, you know, please people and
mm,
accommodate and be nurturing and all of that. And sometimes to say no, it feels like you're being really selfish or unsupportive,
yeah,
doesn't it? But
yeah,
actually, if you're in alignment with what you're meant to be doing, your thing that lights you up,
mm,
your purpose, your little mission, whatever you want to call it, then
mm,
that's where we need to be putting our energy and focus, because only you can do
mm,
you and
definitely.
be you know, deliver what is your gift. And
Mm,
you know, as women we can be quite um we can spend too long in something because we don't know kind of how to extricate ourselves from a situation. So I think it's a really valuable lesson to check in on a regular basis, isn't it?
definitely. Definitely. I know something I struggled with, and I still do to a certain degree. And I think this is just part of me. And it's something that I'm aware of that I do work on. And that's this people pleasing. I want to please everybody. We like to see other people happy, don't we? We like to see other people smiling. So if I can do something that's going to make someone else feel good or make someone smile, I'll do it. But I never normally think about, the effect it could have on me from
Absolutely.
saying, for saying yes to other people. Um, so I think you touch on being selfish. It's important that we're selfish at times, isn't it? And it's important that we're doing the things that matter to us rather than the things that matter to everybody else. Because if you're doing things that matter to everybody else all the time, you're doing less of the stuff that matters to you.
Absolutely.
You haven't got time for everything. Warren Buffett said, I wrote this quote down because I thought it was brilliant. The
Mhm.
difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything
Yeah,
because they really focus on the things that matter, not only in their, and I don't mean success just in business, but they really focus on the things that matter to them,
absolutely.
in their life,
Yeah.
and the things that matter to their family, their family unit, and also the things that matter to their business
Mhm.
or their work or their career or whatever it may be. So it's really important that we learn to say no, and that we set boundaries for ourselves, I think.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I learned in doing my whole kind of period around difficult conversations is, particularly if you're British and you're a woman, you know, we are just not brought up to have those conversations. And sometimes we feel like we're being rude or we're being ungrateful, or, you know, because we're not. We want to move on, and the other person might not want us to, whether it's business or whether it, you know, relationships as well. And we need to be really careful to be clear about when we get that kind of prompt that it's time to move on. I think it can be really healthy to write a list down of what are the reasons I want to move on, what are the reasons that are holding me back, and that really gives us, your favorite word, clarity.
Mm,
Because often we don't actually address it. We just think, oh, I'll just hang on a bit, I'll just wait until, and we don't
mm,
actually articulate out loud or even in our heads what that wait until means. So we just
mm,
stay in the situation. And we talked about this before when we came on the call, didn't we? We can end up getting quite resentful
mm,
about a situation because it's actually
mm.
pulling us away from what we're
What
meant to
matters?
be doing and what matters. And
Yeah.
then because we're not very good at having that conversation, we can almost sometimes cause a bit of a row or a, you know, with the other person, because
Mm,
you know you're looking for a way to extricate yourself and we don't know how to do it. Hopefully
mm,
less so in business, but
mm.
certainly in relationships, isn't it, that people will stay too long and then have a big fight.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I've said yes to so many things,
Mm.
as being, just say being a mum, let's just put business aside, but being a mum, I've said yes to, maybe saying to the kids, if they ask for friends to come for a play date, I've said yes. And then I've said yes about picking one up or dropping one off or whatever it may be. And then I'll come home and I'll moan to Matt, I've got all this stuff to do and I'm stressed out and I'm overwhelmed and I'm all this, I'm feeling anxious. And he's like, but you've said yes, you're the one that's agreed to do all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I sit back and I think, why have I done that? And again, it's because I just want everyone to be happy and pleased, but actually this people pleasing is a real problem. Because the more you're pleasing everybody else, like I've said, the less you're sort of
Yeah.
doing the stuff that matters to you. And no matter what anyone says, whether you're a business owner, whether you're employed, whether you're self-employed, whether you're a mom, whatever it is, we can't do it all.
No.
We just we really can't do it all. And we need to accept that, really get clarity, like you've said, Felicity, on what matters, and then do that. Just do that. Just do the bits that matter.
And you know when you're in your sweet spot, don't you? You know it feels different. It kind of not to say that it's you don't have to put any effort in, but it's you're in your sweet spot. It's so much easier. You're in flow. Things come together. Whereas if you're starting, you're still involved with something and it's not quite right, it just takes so much more effort.
It does, definitely. Definitely.
And worst case scenario, our lovely Clem that we had on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, it actually made her ill, and it can, it can make us ill. I think as women, we need to understand it's okay to say no.
Definitely.
No sentence, isn't it? And if we say it kindly and with elegance,
yes,
how why would that offend anybody?
Definitely. And I think we need to be firm in it as well. And what I've learned to do as well, sometimes, because it feels uncomfortable, it's something I'm working on, so it feels uncomfortable to say no for me. So what I will sometimes do is say, leave it with me and I'll come back to you. I know in my head it's more than likely going to be a no, but it just gives me time to just let it settle a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It gives me time to just let it settle and actually go away and weigh it up and go, right, well, if I do this, what's it going to take me away from?
No, that's a really great technique. Sorry to.
Yeah.
It also saves you from going into the where you kind of then almost try and justify when you're not going to do it when you don't have to. And also that pause when you say to the person, let me think about that and I'll come back to you, that already kind of prepares them a little bit that there may be a no coming. So I think that's
definitely
Emma.
Definitely. And in business, I know for me, you were talking about just doing what matters. In business, for me, there's certain things in business that I don't enjoy doing. There's certain things in the day-to-day bits of a business, whether that's, I'm not saying I don't enjoy content, but there's so many things we could list, content, social media, posting, marketing, there's all these different bits, finances, accounts. And I think it's really important that when it comes to business and saying no, is looking at your strengths and your weaknesses, looking at the stuff that you feel that you're strong at and that you enjoy doing and that you're good at, and work on that. And the stuff that you find more difficult, that's a weakness that puts you in a state of like, oh, just don't want to do it. Look to outsource it. Look to speak to other people that can help you with those bits.
Totally.
Because that's how you're going to move your business forward. You can't do it all in business. You have to let some of it go. And that's one of the biggest lessons I think I've learned over the last, especially since doing the podcast the last year, where we've spoken to so many women. I felt like I had it all together. I can do all of this. I've got all this. I make my list. I get this done. But actually, I was coming away going, I'm overwhelmed. I'm exhausted. And I actually haven't got the results I wanted. The reason I'm doing this, I'm not getting those results. So what do I do? And there's a lot of shit you have to let go.
Yes, indeed. And it's that thing, isn't it? I think we all start off with that. And if you're not careful, you can end up being jack of all trades, master of none. But not only that, if you're serious about having a business that you're going to scale at some point, then you need to start thinking about that, being that businesswoman right from the start. So it's a brilliant book, and we were talking about resources before we came on the call. So my favourite book on this subject is called The Next 5 Moves, and it's by an amazing guy called Patrick Bet-David, who has a very well-subscribed YouTube channel, and he talks about, it comes from watching the chess masters play, and the chess master will always be thinking 5 moves ahead, and for us in business we need to do that too. So initially you might think, I can't outsource anything, I need to be looking at my money, I can do that. But actually you need to learn very early on to focus, like you say, Emma, on the stuff that you're great at. It doesn't always have to be expensive.
No. One
of the best things I ever did was right from the start outsourced my business finances to a most brilliant accountant. And actually, even that first year, I'd written a book, Changing the Channel, and he asked me what the content was, and because it was a personal development book focus, he said, he got me £1,000 back on that as a return. And also, I'm wasn't very organized with my finances. If I'd let that carry on and been doing my own books, the business would not be here today, I could tell you that. So yeah, just be wise about it, and think long term, and think, I'm a businesswoman, I'm going to scale my business, therefore I'm not someone that's, we need to nip imposter syndrome in the bud really early on.
Definitely. I love that as well, because I think it's good to make decisions not just based on what the initial outcome is going to be, like what's going to happen straight away, but making decisions based on what's going to happen
down the line,
a bit further down the line. So if I make this decision now, or if I do this today, how's it going to impact me next week, next month, and next year? So you're thinking ahead, which is very insightful, I think.
Totally. And it's going to, you're going to create the business that you want. We have to, and I think particularly at the moment where the world is quite crazy, we have to bring consciousness to everything that we do, if we're not going to get caught up in other people's agendas and swept away by concerns and worries. We have to think, okay, what am I doing right now? Is it moving me forward? Is it holding me back? Is it causing me to spin in circles? And that does take a lot of effort and thought at times, but so much better than getting swept away into, off course into things that we don't want to be putting our energy into.
Definitely. So we need to say no more, ladies. We need to say no more.
No is a complete sentence.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. No is a complete sentence. So yeah, saying no to things that don't add value to your life, so that you can say yes to things that matter.
Absolutely.
And moving forwards, I was saying to Felicity before we came on, moving forwards, we're going to change, or I'm going to change the content slightly of the Crossroads Cafe podcast. So I'm actually going to reach out to you women. So if you're listening to this and you are at a crossroads, or you're working in your business, working for somebody else, you're self-employed, you're working a 9 to 5, but you've got this vision of something more, there's something more that you're looking for, whether that's in your life or whether that's starting up a business or something along those lines, I'd love to hear from you, because I want to speak to you. I want to bring women like you onto my podcast, and hear from you, and just hear what you're struggling with, and what your doubts are, what your fears are, or what your dreams and your desires are, because there's so many people, especially at this moment in time, that are questioning what it is that they're doing. We've had so much time, haven't we? We've been at home, and we've just been able to sort of reflect on our lives, and I just hear from even friends that have spoken to me that are in business, that are in employment, that are wanting to start up a business, and they're like, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do first, and they struggle with this lack of confidence and this self-doubt. So I'm going to be here to support you through that, but I'd love to bring you on the podcast if you want to come on, and have a conversation with you about it. So if that is of interest to you, you can just drop me an email, and the email address is hello@crossroadscafe.biz. Or alternatively, jump over to the webpage, which is www.crossroadscafe.biz, and biz is B-I-Z, and you will see the contact details on there. So jump over and get in touch with me.
Yeah, so, and every success, Emma, I think this is a great pivot for Crossroads Cafe. As you know, it's been such a delight working with you. It's always been so much fun, and that's why we started it, wasn't it? Because it was inspiring for us. So
yeah, definitely, we got so much out of it, and we still do, and we still will. We'll still do our masterminds, and we're still going to catch up in line with that. But yeah, Crossroads Cafe is just slightly going in a different direction.
And that's important, isn't it? We need to keep an eye on things, and so that we're not just doing the same old, especially in the world as it is today, that we need to be adaptable and flexible and agile and change when it's time to change. So all the best, my dear.
Thank you, my darling, and to you, and to you.
Thank you so much for the experience, and loved it. So all the best to all the listeners as well, and this new iteration.
Thank you, and I will be catching up with you all soon. Take care, Felicity.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye.